Hello everyone, welcome back. Imagine a world where one group of people thrives by feeding, physically, economically, and even sexually, on the suffering of another. A world where dependency is masked as dominance and consumption is disguised as civilization. This world is not fiction. This world is history. Slavery in the United States was more than just forced labor. It was a system of human consumption, a parasitic relationship where white enslavers feasted on black bodies in ways that were literal, symbolic, and systemic. But like all parasites, the master class had to hide its true nature. They could not afford to acknowledge their reliance on the very people they enslaved. So they built a lie that black people were the dependent ones, the needy, the subhuman. Historian Orlando Patterson describes slavery as a parasitic institution. The enslaver, he argues, could not maintain his illusion of being civilized while openly feasting on the lives of those he ruled. And so, he camouflaged his parasitism by calling the enslaved the dependent ones. He flipped reality on its head. While he drained every ounce of labor, dignity, and humanity from the people he enslaved, he told the world that it was they who needed him. But this consumption was not just economic. It was not just about labor. It extended into more grotesque, more terrifying realms of literal and metaphoric consumption. Let's talk about something rarely discussed in history books: the physical consumption of black bodies. One of the most shocking examples comes from the whaling ship Essex. This ship, which set sail from Nantucket in 1838, was stranded at sea after a catastrophic encounter with a whale. The crew was left starving, desperate, and in their desperation, they turned to cannibalism. But here's what white Nantucketers don't like to talk about. The first 4 men to be murdered and eaten were black, not by accident, not by chance, but because they were considered the most disposable, the least valuable human lives on board. And this was from a community that prided itself on Quaker values and abolitionist sentiments. The same people who condemned slavery allowed their ship captains to run their vessels like slave plantations, treating black sailors with brutality and, in the ultimate act of dehumanization, consuming them when it was convenient. But this wasn't an isolated incident. After Nat Turner led the most famous slave rebellion in American history, white slaveholders did not just execute him, they consumed him. Black residents of Southampton, Virginia, passed down oral histories describing how white men took Turner's body, boiled it down, and attempted to force black people to eat his remains. His bones were turned into souvenirs. His flesh, according to some accounts, was even used as a medicinal substance, ingested by the very people who had feared and hated him. And how did white historians respond to these accounts? They dismissed them, labeled them as folk beliefs. Because if they acknowledged them, they would have to admit the truth: that slavery wasn't just an institution of labor, it was an institution of cannibalism. Now you might think, this is all in the past, this is history. But is it? The same parasitic system that fueled slavery didn't end in 1865. It simply evolved. Today, black bodies are still consumed through mass incarceration, through exploitative labor, through predatory capitalism. The prison industrial complex extracts black labor for pennies on the dollar while corporations profit. The medical industry has historically used black bodies for experimentation, from the Tuskegee syphilis trials to the exploitation of Henrietta Lacks cells. The enslaver's greatest trick was making the world believe he was the master, when in reality he was the parasite. White supremacy does not build, it extracts, it feeds, it consumes. And history shows us that, time and time again, the black body has been its most consistent meal. This analysis forces us to confront the brutality of slavery, not just as a system of labor, but as a system of human consumption, one that fed on black bodies physically, sexually, and psychologically, while concealing its predatory nature through deceptive ideological justifications. I invite you to reflect on these issues and share your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and as always, stay curious and keep questioning.